all that we see in these creatures, beings, do you think they stop to ask themselves what their purpose is, or just embody it effortlessly without thinking or worrying, just by existing? Meanwhile, we struggle with our dual nature, wondering, what are we? Why are we here? I'm really excited about those questions, though. I think those are the ones that really matter and we're supposed to be asking. Personally, it's important to have a reason why. I believe these trees, they have a reason why. And this squirrel, he's got reasons why. He doesn't have to justify himself to us or explain it. It's automatic. If only if it were that easy for us, huh? I think beneath all the layers of conditioning and schooling and being told by other people what to think and believe about our reality, I think beneath all that, it really is that easy. That beneath all the layers of the onion, unlearning everything that we've been taught is a big part of becoming who we really are, blossoming into that. It's maybe not super easy, and it sometimes isn't fun. But I think that's the whole purpose, the whole reason. And as frustrated as I can get, and dramatic and emo, I have to remember it could be a lot worse. Who knows where we could be, Look at this beauty. So many beautiful songs and pieces of art in this reality. Plants, ideas, trails, directions, to choose your own adventure. We do ultimately choose for ourselves this reality. That's our gift. But we don't have to choose what's beneath the layers. We don't have to choose positivity or light. Ultimately, I'm not sure if it matters or not. It could. I do think there are rules of engagement, natural laws here that if we can observe, we can use to our advantage instead of fighting against, which we mostly do. We mostly do fight against the laws of nature. Until a certain point, it's like you just kick and kick and kick until you give up. And then when you finally do give up, you have this realization. It's like, oh, what was I fighting for? Why am I so stubborn? Why must I try to outsmart the universe or nature when it simply can't be done? No other creature attempts to do that. And these are the type of landscapes that we get to look at. And yeah, this is a garden that's been curated for sure. But if left to its own devices, it would take care of itself. You know, I do believe we're here to sort of facilitate nature and to work with it. We fight against it a lot. You know, we see that all the time. Sometimes we're so wrapped up and so busy that we miss things, and we don't have time to take a step back and reevaluate what we're doing. It's important to do once in a while. Take a little bit of an inventory. What is your why? What is your reason for doing what you do? Is it congruent? Does it line up with the skills that you have? These are good questions to ask, and it's okay to not know the answers. I feel like they come in their own time, you know? And once you ask a question, it's constantly going on in the background of your mind. Constantly. And your mind is searching for the answer to that question that you asked. And ultimately, eventually, you'll figure it out. It'll come to you when you're taking a shower, out for a walk, driving in your car, hanging out in the botanical gardens, whatever. It'll come to you. Just ask the question. Just ask. And listen. Be still for 10 seconds. It's hard. I was diagnosed with ADD when I was 5. My mom goes, "No, you're not putting him on speed. He's just smarter than you." Which isn't true, but it was nice to have somebody fighting, you know, in your corner. I'm not here to make any diagnoses or challenge any doctors or anything, but personally, I was happy that I wasn't put on Ritalin at 5 years old. You know? It would just be one more thing to sort of unlearn. And what about those patterns, those loops just running in the background of your OS? I want to talk about that, specifically growing our comfort zone. The truth is, we're going to be stuck in our comfort zone forever. And there's only one way to sort of come at that, to create anything different or new, and that is to expand the comfort zone. Here we are on this swingy ball type of thing, and we are rocking back and forth. What would you call that? The thing that swings back and forth, whatever you call it. It swings as far as we let it. And I want to talk about identifying the place in you that is the place where you self-sabotage. It's a terrible sound, isn't it? As well as the place where you get motivated and inspired. That's your ceiling and your floor. When you hit the bottom, that's the floor. You must take action. You're like, oh my God, what have I done? I've got to do something. Got to get myself out of this. We all hit that point. I've hit it and posted it on YouTube. So don't feel too bad. We also hit that point, whether it be financially or in a relationship, where we basically self-sabotage. We won't allow ourselves to get past that. And the idea of these timelines or our comfort zone is really to expand our comfort zone, right? And to elevate neutral. Because balance is always going to happen. We're going to swing one way and we're going to swing back. There's no way to avoid it. We spend so much time trying to avoid it. And it's stupid because it's unavoidable. The Kabbalion talks about it. The swing to the right is equal to the swing to the left. It also says as far down as you go, that's as far as you're going to go upwards. These are important things to remember. So I think I'd like to head on over and draw some stick figures for you. In a segment we'll call Bootsy Can't Draw. Here we go. Cool, so let's talk about expanding your comfort zone. Expanding your comfort zone is necessary for you to actually entertain the idea of free will. You can't make a decision really outside of your comfort zone. You're just not going to do it. And you have all these reference experiences, okay? These reference experiences when you do go out of your comfort zone. And they tell you something about the way that you view yourself and your belief. This really comes down to do with self-belief. Who do you think you are? Who are you? What are you trying to do? What is your why? Okay, these are all very important. If you know what those are, then you have a strong anchor. You understand a little bit better who you are. And a great way to do that would be to do a little bit of a self-assessment. So we're going to talk about that. Take a little bit of an inventory. What is it that you want? What is it that you believe? Who are you, right? Understanding who you are, I think it's truly necessary to be able to answer that question in order to define your goal. If you don't know who you are, it doesn't really matter where you're going. You're going to get lost. So the way to do that is we have all these reference experiences. Tony Robbins talks about how to create a belief. It's like a table. You have, the table itself, but it doesn't hold itself up until you get enough legs under it. So those legs are the reference experiences. But the truth about that is those reference experiences don't guarantee you anything. It's all about your attitude about those reference experiences. So this is one reference experience right here. Reference experience happens. Let's say it's going up and talking to somebody, okay? Let's say you're trying to work on your social skills. So you go up and talk to somebody and you have a moderately okay conversation with them. Do you consider that a positive or a negative? However you feel about that is what the truth of it is. It's going to reflect back to how you view yourself and that self-belief and exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to expand your comfort zone. Because we need to go out of our comfort zone to challenge it in order to expand it so that we can make better decisions, more decisions, so we have access to other ideas and life tracks. So if you decide that you screwed up somehow, it was somehow negative, well, guess what? That's true for you, right? So you're not going to expand your comfort zone that way. You're actually going to shrink it. And that's not what we want. Now, with a comfort zone, let's think of ourselves as a magnetic ball on a string, okay? And basically, we're swinging between these two poles, which is what we're willing to accept and what we're not willing to accept, okay? So willing to accept over here, unwilling to accept over here. Basically, we have a ceiling and a floor, right? And the ceiling is what we will get to and we'll self-sabotage. The floor is what we absolutely are like, all right, I got to get my shit together. I got to get my poop in a group, okay? That's here. And here is where we get to the point, and this could be in any area of life. It could be financial, it could be health-wise, it could be relationship-wise. You get into a great relationship, and then it gets so good, you get to this one point that you can't accept it anymore for yourself. You don't believe you deserve it. And so you begin to self-sabotage that relationship. Or you get a big amount of money, and all of a sudden you start spending like crazy because you can't accept that you did that well, right, for yourself. Or you get to a certain point health-wise, like where you're in good shape, and then all of a sudden, we're always dealing with equilibrium here. So the idea is to elevate neutral. It's always going to balance. If you ever feel like you're going 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, it's because that's kind of what you're doing, and that's okay. Just understanding that these reference experiences that you're having can be either positive or negative. Anytime you do something that's outside of your comfort zone, that should be a positive. You should reward yourself with positive, like feelings and appreciation for yourself every time you do something like that. Tell yourself that you did it. You had the courage, because courage is not lacking fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And that's how we can get outside of our comfort zone. A lot of this comes from our programming, how we take stock, how we believe. There's all these imprints like Robert Anton Wilson talks about. There's also traumas that we have all through our life that imprint upon us as well. And then our self-belief, and they're all sort of wrangled together. And I've got some trauma exercises in one of the other videos. I highly recommend those. Those are for like childhood trauma, right? Not necessarily like PTSD and stuff like that. I'd recommend a specialist. But, all of these things wrapped up together, really, that's really what we're projecting into the world. We're saying what we will allow into our reality based on our comfort zone, and what we're willing to accept and what we're unwilling to accept. So obviously, we want to raise the floor and the ceiling. So we want to elevate neutral. And the way that we can do that is to begin to ask ourselves these questions, start to focus on it and become conscious of it. And it might feel like, in order to elevate neutral, you go up a bit and then down a bit, and then up a bit and then down a bit, then up a bit and then down a bit. But look at this place versus this place. And it goes by failing, okay? I'm gonna say failing and I'm gonna use quotes, but allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself, have courage. Basically we should be looking ahead, trying to do these things to elevate neutral and continuing to create these reference experiences to expand our comfort zone and our beliefs about ourselves. And then every single time we try it, even if it doesn't go as well as we wanted it to, we always reward ourselves with a positive, reinforcement. That's going to elevate our neutral over time. It's not something that's going to happen immediately. It's going to take time and time and time and time. And if you were to look back, you would see a wake of failure. But every single failure is really what's driving you to success, especially if you continue to look forward. It's pointless to look back. It's like I create this art, I throw it up there. It's beyond me now. It doesn't matter. It's over. We've passed that. And it doesn't mean you can't look back, obviously, and critique and learn lessons from that. But the point being is that it's really not about what's behind us. It's about moving forward, especially if you want to become a great creator. It doesn't matter about what you've created in the past. That's not going to make something for you in the future. You establish a process, you continue to hone and master what you are able to do, and continue to elevate your neutral and work on your self-belief. Write it down. What are you willing to accept from yourself? What are you unwilling to accept from yourself? And, start to challenge those things a little bit at a time. Again, it's a lot of times 2 steps forward, 1 step back, a lot of failure, but a lot of action, taking lots of action and being easy with yourself. Also taking the advantage route every time you challenge your comfort zone. Every time, even if you don't think it went well, it doesn't matter. You got something out of it that you weren't expecting. All of this stuff works in a way that we can't fathom with our minds anyways. So it's really basically pointless to try. But if we continue to take action over and over and over again, we can expand our comfort zone and we can really take stock of our self-belief. And I want to work on getting a bit of a assessment, I guess, or whatever, inventory, kind of thing. And I'm working with a friend on that. I think that could be really helpful. But in the meantime, start asking those questions. In order to get to your goal, you need to know who you are. In order to create things, you need to be at the place of abundance. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You've got to get that to that point first in order to make a realistic goal. If you want fulfillment out of life, like, you can get things and, you know, stuff and validation if that's what you wish. You can get that as well. But I mean, I find it a little bit more, I don't know, rewarding, and just, it feels better to try to pursue the higher self, like the highest and most authentic version of yourself. And we're going to fail trying to, you know, trying to bridge to that a lot. But that's part of the process, and that's how we learn, and that's how we get to mastery of the self, and self-awareness, and self-actualization. It's impossible to know what you really want unless you know who you really are. You'll just keep striking out. You'll just keep finding things that you think will make you happy, and then being really disappointed that it didn't make you happy, you know? Or at least that's been my experience. I'm not here to tell you what to think. Only you can answer the question, who are you? What are you doing here? What's your purpose? That's the key that opens the door to fulfillment, to expression, to self-knowledge and understanding. Which is what all the esoteric literature is about. Temet Nosce, know thyself. So thanks again. Be sure to subscribe. Share the video if you liked it. Give me feedback. What can I do better? Because I really want to cultivate and curate the best content I can, because you deserve it. You deserve the best. So I'll do everything I can to meet you there. Peace.